As the war in Gaza continues to escalate, global efforts for peace are intensifying. French President Emmanuel Macron arrives in Cairo for talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The focus of the visit in Gaza, as Macron participates in a trilateral summit with President al-Sisi and Jordanian King Abdullah on securing a ceasefire, ensuring humanitarian aid, and discussing the path forward for Gaza. In a press conference, both presidents stressed that Egypt and France are united in rejecting any calls for displacing Palestinians from their land. As Gaza's suffering reaches unbearable levels, Israel is vowing to escalate. But how will the international community succeed in ending this brutal war? All this and more in today's episode of Think Tank. Welcome and stay tuned. Earlier today, Egyptian President Fattah al-Sisi held with French President Emmanuel Macron a press conference as they lauded the Egyptian-French relations and announced alleviating it to the level of strategic partnership. As reported by Egypt Today, both leaders discussed the tragic situation in the Gaza Strip as well as Gaza's reconstruction conference, which Egypt will be hosting following the cessation of hostilities within the Strip. In addition, both leaders emphasized during the meeting the need to return to the ceasefire in Gaza and allow the entry of humanitarian aid. They also agreed to reject calls to displace Palestinians from their lands. During his speech, Macron, the French president, condemned the resumption of Israeli strikes in Gaza and called for respecting the ceasefire, releasing the remaining of detainees, and a return to negotiations as soon as possible.
After a year and a half of genocidal war, Gaza now faces its most devastating humanitarian crisis yet. With intensified attacks and further territorial incursions, conditions continue to deteriorate across the besieged enclave. Amid the ongoing bombardment, international diplomatic efforts persist. French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Egypt for a 3-day visit, joining Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah II in a trilateral summit on the crisis. On top of the visit's agenda is the situation in Gaza, as the three leaders aim to find a solution to end the war on the enclave. Meanwhile, Israel continues its bombardment, vowing to escalate military pressure until Hamas releases remaining detainees. Human rights experts warn that such measures would violate international law. The UN has condemned inflammatory Israeli rhetoric on annexing Gaza and displacing its population, raising further concerns over the war's devastating humanitarian toll. Gaza's health ministry warned recently that the healthcare system is on the verge of total collapse under relentless bombardment. Officials urgently appealed for international pressure to force Israel to open crossings for medical aid, fuel, and emergency support, while calling for foreign medical teams to assist overwhelmed staff working in dire conditions. As civilian suffering reaches unbearable levels, will the international community move beyond statements to decisive action or allow Gaza's nightmare to continue?
For more analysis, we're joined from Paris by Dr. Megid Boudin, a professor of international law, and from Jericho by Dr. Abdel Nasser Mikki, political science professor. A very warm welcome to the show, Dr. Boudin. What are the strategic objectives for Macron's trilateral summit with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and King Abdullah II, especially in terms of addressing the Gaza crisis?
The main target today and the urgent target is the urgent objective is to find a way to relieve the siege of Gaza and to obtain a flow of humanitarian aid to the population. This is the most urgent matter. The second matter is to obtain and to obtain the beginning of a solution, a durable solution, a sustainable solution with the two-state solution. The two-state solution cannot be achieved unless there is an agreement and which will convince the Trump administration to go on this way. And what happened yesterday...
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but do you think that there's anything that will convince the Trump administration to get back and watch what's going on in Gaza and stop backing Israel?
The Trump administration will not stop backing Israel, but they wanted to find a deal. And the deal...
Reach a resolution.
Sorry?
Reaching a resolution, sir.
Reaching a resolution, and Trump will not continue to force to obtain
the displacements and what's going on, the genocides that are taking place.
No, the Trump at a certain level he will stop backing military actions which are now going to a dramatic, more and more unacceptable position. And at the end of the day, he will accept the two-state solution. One of the points that it's under discussion now is how to make rise a representation of the Palestinians, because Hamas, by making this retaliation, for instance, yesterday, by sending few missiles against Israel, is not achieving any military goal. It's only making a sabotage of all the efforts to find a solution, like Netanyahu is doing the same thing. So Netanyahu is now using Hamas as a leverage to say he has no possibility to find a solution. And this is why it's becoming urgent to find a new governance of the Palestine state and of Gaza. Because here, either Hamas is maintaining its positions and its reactions, and Netanyahu is retaliating, and Hamas is retaliating again, or we will see Netanyahu putting all its hands on a long-term basis on Gaza. So the solution, which is promoted by Egypt, Jordan, the Arab world, and France and Europe and other countries, is to find a new governance from the Palestinians, by the Palestinians, and to the Palestinians, who will represent them, and who will be wishing to establish a two-state solution. And here, this is one of the most objective of this discussion. Of course, there are other discussions with the Palestinians themselves.
Sir, I'll be back to you again, but I have to ask Dr. Mickey, how significant is the role of the international community in the ongoing war in Gaza, especially with Macron's visit to Egypt and its focus on Gaza?
Yes, I think the international community, especially the European Union, and the leading of this, it's France, as you know, and the leaders of France is President Macron. I think, yes, the European Union and especially France want to play a significant role in this, in order that they want to reach to ceasefire between the Israeli government and between Hamas, and they want to be intervention also in the even negotiation. And because of this, President Macron went to Egypt and visited Egypt, and he met with President Sisi and also with King Abdullah. They are the two main, that's players on this even in this war, because they are, that's the neighbor of Israel and Gaza, and they are the main target for what Israeli is targeting to make, that displacement, forced displacement to these two countries. So, because of this, this negotiation is very important. The role of France and the international community is very important. The United Nations is very important. All of them, they will send a message to the Israeli government, to the Trump also, that the ceasefire should be there, and also
And
the
there's
genocide.
also, sir, another message that's sent to the European Union and to the Arab world leaders on the other hand.
Yes, yes, for all of them, the Arab leaders, and also for the European Union, that they should make a coalition in order that
Exactly.
they will pressure on the Israeli government and also Trump
To achieve a
administration.
ceasefire, a concrete
Yes,
ceasefire at this point, sir.
yes, to achieve ceasefire, especially now. Netanyahu today he will meet with President Trump and also with Witkoff, which is representative for the Middle East from the administration of Trump. So I think it's a good message, and also for all of them. And it's good visit from Macron to Egypt. And I think as the discussion between the two leaders and also the intervention also with the participation of King Abdullah, I think the President Sisi, he said that there should be ceasefire there, and also there will not be any that sting good in the Middle East unless there will be for the Palestinian, that case should be solved. And also Macron, he also criticized the violent, and also condemned that's the Israeli attacking, especially in Gaza, and killing the people, and especially the children. So I think this is a good message, and I think this message will be for all of the leaders on the world in order to stop this genocide in Gaza.
Dr. Boudena, given France's historic ties with Egypt, how might this relationship influence the international push for a ceasefire in Gaza?
Of course, because the two positions are very close, are very nearly identical. If we don't, we can say that even they are identical. And second, they are based on international law, and France is pushing to have a solution based on international law. What does it mean? It means that Israel doesn't want to apply international law, and like the Trump administration is not applying international law also in the Ukrainian crisis. And so now the international community is pushing the Trump administration to respect international law and to obtain, even if deals are the major way of the Trump diplomacy, they want to keep, and there are negotiations with the Trump administration and with President Trump himself to have all the deals based on international law. And this is we are in a chaos situation. We can see how this fair decisions are making the world in a turmoil, and we have seen the stock markets around the world are collapsing in a huge way. But still, this will not be kept for a long time, because it starts to harm the American economy, and these are foreseen to be reached. And these deals, they will include the economic aspect, but they will also reach the political aspect and the geostrategical aspect. And among them, we have the Russian-Ukrainian conflict and the Russian aggression on Ukraine, but we'll have also the Palestinian situation, how we will, first of all, make emerge a new leadership among the Palestinians, and how we can establish a two-state solution. And before that, we will have to obtain to convey aid and humanitarian rescue to the Palestinian population.
Got your point, Dr. Boudin. I'll leave it there and back to you again. Dr. Mickey, with President Macron's visit to Egypt that includes a trilateral summit with Egypt's and Jordan's leaders, how do you see the role of Egypt and Jordan in influencing peace efforts regarding the Gaza conflict and the wider region, sir?
Yes, I think the two countries is very important, that's for this matter, especially the two countries, as you know, Jordan and Egypt, they condemned the airstrikes and also the genocide, and also at the same time, they are against, that the forced displacement to their countries, and the refusal was clear and obvious from President Sisi and also from King Abdullah, and they sent message to Trump administration that they against this. And also after that, as you know, they have the Arab summit, and there is the Egyptian proposal for the reconciliation and rehabilitation of Egypt, and there is the that's Egyptian paper for this matter. And President Macron, he also today appreciated, the Egypt for this, and also he's supporting the Egyptian proposals for the reconciliation and also for rehabilitation of Gaza. So I think the two countries is very important. Their opinion is very important.
Dr. Mickey, can I ask you a question, please, at this point? As President Donald Trump, U.S. President Donald Trump, is due to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, how do you see the impact of this trilateral, of course, summit that's taking place in Egypt between France and Jordan, and of course, on top of all, is Egyptian President Fattah al-Sisi? How do you see the impact of this trilateral summit on the visit and on both leaders, which is Netanyahu and Trump?
I think the trial, that negotiation in Egypt is very important, and also they send a message after the negotiation, after the meeting, that they are against, the forced displacement. So this is one thing. The other thing is that they are, supporting all of them to stop the war and also to have a ceasefire there. So this is a good also, message to the meeting in Washington. But at the same time, as you know, the Trump, when he, that's requested Netanyahu to come to Egypt, to Washington, I think the most important thing is that even one of the, indicators that it is about the detainees, that's matter, the existing of the that's with Steve Woodcock on the meeting. So I think this is very important meeting. And the impact of this, or the result will be, I think there will be pressure from Trump to Netanyahu to stop this matter and to go again, maybe to.
So the impact of the visit, of what's happening in Cairo today, will be that U.S. President Donald Trump will try to solve and reach a resolution and a ceasefire to what's taking place in Gaza, so we can be optimistic about what's happening.
Yes, I
think.
Okay,
great. Sir, Dr. Boudin, how does the international community, especially France, view Israelis' actions in Gaza, and how can the United Nations intervene under international law to protect Palestinian civilians, sir?
Well, France is condemning the military actions of Israel against the civilians in Gaza. And now they are building up a new position by which they will soon recognize the Palestinian state as an independent state. And so this also will make a difference in the equation in the Middle East, and it will put pressure on all players. And it's a good and a strong signal to the Trump administration that the European Union will go there, and the European Union will also recognize the Palestinian state. We have seen that Spain, Ireland, and other European countries, they have recognized already the Palestinian state. France is a heavy weight in Europe. It's a member of the Security Council, and they will do it shortly. So it will make a difference. The international community will support that. And because now what is going on in Gaza is not only horrible, but it's not acceptable under international law. And international law, if it's not made applicable, it will collapse. And nobody has an interest to see international law collapse, because then it will be the chaos. And if we don't want international to collapse, we have to make it applicable. And to make it applicable both to Palestine and to Israel. Palestine to see the rights of the Palestinian and the rights of the Palestinian state recognized and protected, and also for Israel to see that Israel will obey to international law.
Hopefully, sir. Dr. Mickey, what is the role of humanitarian aid during ongoing conflicts like the war in Gaza, and how can France and Egypt ensure aid access under international law?
Yes, I think the humanitarian aid institution, I think it's important that they should also send all these humanitarian aids to the Palestinian in Gaza, especially for the children and the women. And I think, yes, Egypt and France could pressure on Israel and Trump administration to allow to all, that's of the material, especially for the people there, like water, food, and also the medicine to enter Gaza. So I think it's important to all of these institutions and to be there and to pressure on Israel that to allow them to enter, to allow them to for the all the medical and the food and the drinking water to arrive and to enter Gaza. Otherwise, I think there will be starvation and there will be a problem, especially now. They said that the starvation started in Gaza, and also the people, they are suffering from the miserable condition, like, that's the lack of water, and also there is a solid waste, that's quantity of thousands of solid waste. They are on the street, which will make a problem. And also the medicine, they are not, existing even in the hospital. And also the Israeli now, they are bombing the hospital. So I think the Egypt and also France should interfere and as soon as possible to allow for all assistance, humanitarian assistance aid to enter to Gaza.
Hopefully, sir. Dr. Boudin, given the intense international pressure for a ceasefire, what role can Egypt and France play in uniting the international community to bring about lasting peace in Gaza?
President Macron and President Sisi, they want to, the visit to El Arish, which is nearby Gaza, 50 kilometers nearby.
It's on the border, sir.
It's on the border. So this is to insist that the border should be open, and open shortly, and open without condition. And on the other side, the Hamas should release the hostages, to not give an excuse, first of all, because it's an obligation under international law, and also opening the border is an obligation for Israel. The first obligation is for Hamas to release the hostages. The second obligation is for Israel to open the borders and to make flow the supply of goods, of rescue to the Palestinians. And then these are the conditions on which both France, Egypt, and now joined by Jordan are working on, and then to open the way, to pave the way to obtain a permanent ceasefire. But the permanent ceasefire is only a step. The major goal is to reach a settlement, a final political settlement, by restoring a Palestinian state in a secured borders, like Israel in a secured borders. This is the main target, and this is on the table now, and this will be achieved. This will be the goal that it should be achieved now by this summit.
Dr. Boudin and Dr. Mickey, a quick answer, please, because I have to wrap up now this episode. The impact of this trilateral summit that took place in Egypt under the auspices of President Fattah al-Sisi on the international community and on the entire world globally. Are you optimistic about what's going on in Egypt today? Between France and the between Egypt and the European Union, on top of all is France?
Yes, I think for me, I think I am optimistic, and I think the role of France is very important, and Egypt, and I think they could send a good message to the leaders in the world, especially the Arab world, and also for the European Union, that it's enough, that the war should be stopped and the genocide should be stopped. Otherwise, it will be, that chaos in the world, and what we are seeing in the TV, it's a good, it's a bad, image to see the children and the women
Dr.
killed.
Boudin, could you tell me your opinion, please, as soon as possible?
Yeah, it's positive and constructive.
Thank you, sir. And of course, as Gaza's suffering reaches unbearable levels, Israel is vowing to escalate. But how will the international community succeed in ending this brutal war? All this and more, of course, dear viewers, we are going to watch and see after this trilateral summit that's taking place in Cairo today under the auspices of Egyptian President Fattah al-Sisi, of course with French President Emmanuel Macron and Jordanian King Abdullah. That was from Paris, Dr. Megid Boudin, Professor of International Law, and from Jericho, Dr. Abdel Nasser Mickey, Political Science Professor. Thank you very much for your informative, valuable insights and knowledge. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank. Thank you very much for watching.